Good morning. Welcome to Hood Memorial Christian Church. Today, I want to invite you to not be confused. Don't be confused. Good and evil actually can look a lot alike in the world that we live in. Let me give you a biblical answer, a biblical response to that thought. In Proverbs chapter 9, we get two images. One is of Lady Wisdom, and the other is of what we often call Lady Folly or Dame Folly. And these two ladies are pictured in very, very similar terms. Now, wisdom is described in Proverbs as the good girl, and folly is described in Proverbs as the bad girl. And you get this over and over again. Just read Proverbs 1 through 9, and you're going to see over and over again this imagery. But in chapter 9, there's something special that's happening here. We get these pictures of these two women that are very, very similar. Now, the differences are important, but the similarities are also important. And you see both women, if you look at Proverbs chapter 9, 13 through 18, the foolish woman is loud. She is ignorant and knows nothing. She sits at the door of her house on a seat at high places of the town, calling to those who pass by, those who are going straight on their way. Now listen to what Lady Folly says. You who are simple, turn in here. And to those without sense, she says, stolen water is sweet, and bread eaten in secret is pleasant. But they do not know that the dead are there, that her guests are in the depths of Sheol. Now, all that sounds sort of, okay, whoa, weird stuff's going on here. But I want you to listen, jump back to Proverbs chapter 9, verse 1, as you see very similar things happening with Lady Wisdom. Lady Wisdom has built her house. She has hewn 7 pillars. She has slaughtered her animals. She has mixed her wine. She has also set her table. She has sent out her servant girl, and she calls, notice this, she calls from the highest places in the town, and listen to what she calls. You that are simple, turn in here. To those without sense, she says the exact same words that Lady Folly uttered. Lady Wisdom uttered them just a few verses before. But listen to what Lady Wisdom says. Come, eat of my bread and drink of wine that I have mixed. Lay aside immaturity and live and walk in a way of insight. So here's what I want to say today. There's a lot that we're going to explore at 12 o'clock today, 12 noon, right here at Hood Memorial Christian Church in person in our Bible study. But I want to point out one thing about this passage to you right now. Lady Wisdom, the good girl, and Dame Folly, the bad girl, begin their calls with the exact same words. Sometimes in the world that we live in today, good and evil present themselves in a very similar fashion. In fact, in this passage, they are sitting in the very same place, the high places, as the passage describes it. They utter the same words. And the truth is, in our world today, evil loves to disguise itself as good and confuse us. We're going to talk more about this, but I happened to walk in on Joni and the Girls this past week watching a movie that just got launched on Disney Plus, at least for the lesser paying of us that don't do the premium account. I think it's been on premium for a while, but it just got released so that the rest of us can watch it without paying the extra bucks. And Joni and the Girls were watching Cruella. And so I thought to myself, wow, I didn't get to see all the movie, but I saw a portion of it, and I thought this has something to say that's similar to Proverbs. So I didn't get to watch it all. So Joni, help fill us in.
So at the very beginning, so this is the story of Cruella de Vil, from 101 Dalmatians, and it kind of describes and watches her journey. And I'm not going to spoil it all for you, but at the very beginning, it really sets it up that this young girl who's named Estella has both good and evil in her. She has half her hair black and half her hair white. So you can kind of see already that they're letting you know by what she looks like that she holds both that good and the evil. But it's also goes into more about she has to really suppress the evil side of her or the Cruella in her, even as a little girl, so that the good can come out. And then there's things in the world that kind of instigate that and bring it out. But she looks the same. Both the good part of her and the bad part of her she's the same person, but and it looks the same, but it's how she reacts and acts in a situation that defines who she is. It's how she responds, and what decisions she makes that really define and name her.
So some of the bad decisions she makes are the Cruella decisions, and the good decisions she makes are the Estella decisions. I haven't seen the whole thing, but this is the picture I got.
Yeah.
And so Proverbs is actually saying something so similar here, because what is different about Lady Wisdom, God's sort of right hand woman, if you will, in the beginning of creation when all the earth was made, Lady Wisdom does something that Lady Folly does not. And it's all in the verbs that are in the very first few verses of this passage. Lady Wisdom builds her house, hews her 7 pillars, slaughters the animals, mixes her wine, sets her table, sent out her servant girls, and then calls. Notice that too, 7 verbs, making us be reminded of the 7 days of creation that Lady Wisdom, as Proverbs 8 tells us, was present with God in the midst of. Lady Wisdom does these 7 things, the number of perfection or completeness.
Active.
Very active. They're all active verbs.
Right.
Exactly.
Very active.
In contrast, what is Lady Folly doing? Nothing. In fact, the verbs in Lady Folly, they're all verbs of being. They're not action verbs at all. It says she is loud.
Characterizes her, yeah.
You just care. She is ignorant. She knows nothing. The only 2 possible action verbs you get are she sits at the door, and that's about the least active action verb there is, right? She literally sits and does nothing. She sits and then she calls to those who pass by. The word call is the only verb that's the same in the 2 passages. So Lady Wisdom sits around and does nothing, yet she still calls like Lady Wisdom. Evil sits around and does nothing good, and yet calls to us, sounding a whole lot like it's good.
Mm-hmm.
There's your similarity. Not only that, I want you to pay attention to what Lady Folly actually does, because she does do some active things, but you don't get those until she begins to speak. What does she say? Stolen water is sweet, and bread eaten in secret is pleasant. The bread eaten in secret passage, you got to dig into that one a little bit. The word eat is actually not in there at all. Many translators think that it's implied. A better translation would be that bread obtained in secret is pleasant. That's a much more accurate translation. Bread gotten in secret. In other words, the idea here is that you get it, but you don't know how you got it. You stole it. It fits with the water passage. Sneaky, yeah. And so what is evil all about? She sounds a lot like good, except that everything that evil has done has taken what God put good on the world and disordered it, made chaos out of it. Done exactly the opposite of what wisdom did with God in the beginning of creation. Lady Folly has destroyed what is good and turned it into something evil. And it's all by her actions of stealing and doing things deceitfully, deceivious, unknowns, and in ways that are not part of the goodness that God has created. So what we do matters. How good and evil, what's the difference? Well, it's what they do in the world. Are you building? Are you producing? Are you creating? Are you taking what is good and putting it in its proper ordered place as God would have it be? Or are you being deceitful and deceivious and disordered and just throwing things around in ways that aren't appropriate or good? And this is the difference between good and evil in Proverbs.
Like Cruella and Estella, it's how we respond, how we react to what the world holds.
So today we invite you not to be confused. Good and evil, while they might look a lot the same, they have very different actions with what God has done in the world. I hope that you will go out this week and sow good into the world by being creative and bringing order and bringing the calm to the storms of the world that is around us.
Be active.
Be active, build, and set tables for other people and invite them in all the good ways that God has given us. Take care and God bless. We want to invite you to go ahead and connect with us by texting the word pray to 910-892-2711. That'll let us know what we can be praying for you about. Just text that word there and we'll ask you a response right back. What can we pray for you for? And you can text that right back and let us know. We hope you'll take advantage of that opportunity. Joni and I would love to be praying for you this week. Take care. God bless. We'll see you on our conference call. If you'd like to join us for our prayer time, you can do that at 563-999-1222. Till then, God bless.